What's going on? What's going on, everybody? Greetings, greetings, ladies and gentlemen. We are back again. Hopefully that you're with me. I know you've been learning a lot. I'm not looking to exhaust you, but it's been good. You know, we're having fun. Hopefully we're having fun. You're learning a lot of new stuff. Now about to get really, really fun, right? Today is going to be number 4 we're going to talk about in the clinical study secrets, secret number 2. What is a step-by-step process to increase your cash flow with various studies without having to worry about side effects, right? So in this secret number 2, this is this lesson 4 we're going to talk about here. Today is check-in day. Yes, check-in day. This is where you get to check in, and you're definitely going to either be an inpatient or it could be outpatient. Either way it goes, even if it's outpatient, you still have to have a check-in. So let's go ahead and write this out. It's check-in day. Number 4, check-in day. Feels like it's a field trip, like it's school all over again, right? So you want to know what's the process, right? Because this is where it all goes down, right? The check-in day. So let me walk you through a little story showing about my example of a couple I did before and where I checked in. And so what's going to happen is you're going to go check in. You did your physical screening. Your labs came back good, right? You did the actual the physical screening with the doctor. Everything was good with that. That little 5-10 minute checkup. That's good. Now you're checking in a couple weeks later or a week later, whatever have you. It depends. A day later, it depends on the study. Now when you check in, right, whether it's morning or whether it's afternoon, it depends. They're going to tell you that in the actual screening when you come the first screening before the physical one. They're going to tell you, have paperwork for you. It's going to show you the restrictions. It's going to show you, restrictions meaning things that you should not do before the study. They're going to give you a paper and say, hey, don't drink caffeine. Don't drink grapefruit, herbs. Don't take, just different things they're going to tell you about. Not to do like 2-3 days before, a week before, a day before. They're going to tell you that on the paper. And it's also going to tell you your check-in time, your check-out time. Because they'll tell you when you're checking in, they'll tell you what time to come, and what the date. They'll tell you when you're checking out, the time and the date, right? So they're going to help you with that. Now, with that being said, you're checking in. Usually, you want to pack before, the night before, day before, whatever have you. Because when you check in, let's use my example. It was a 2-week study. So I'm going to be there for 14 days, 14 days, 13 nights, right? So I would pack, and for this certain facility here, I'll use Worldwide for an example. PBD gives you scrubs to use, right? Meaning top and bottom medical scrubs. Worldwide, on the other hand, they don't give you scrubs, right? So Worldwide clinical trials, they don't give you scrubs. So you have to bring your own clothes. They'll give you a shirt, right? It's a shirt. Every time you go to a facility and they give you something to wear, usually it's going to be color coordinated to the group that you're in, right? But let me back up though, before we get, it's like when you get taken to the back upstairs or wherever have you, let me back up to when you first enter. Once you first enter the building, remember how on the day when you did your screening appointment and you sat there, you did your lab work and everything, remember that day? Well, you're going to have to do that again. You're going to do actually the lab work like your blood, your vitals, because they want to make sure, remember they have those restrictions. So they want to make sure that you followed those restrictions, okay? And they only, like I said, the only way they can know this, ladies and gentlemen, is they got to know it by what's going on in your body. They hear what you say, what you're saying with your mouth, but they need to find out the real deal McCoy, what's going on inside you. So they're going to do a little blood draw. They're going to do your urine. They're going to take your blood pressure, right? Take your temperature. They want to know what's going on, and they'll get those results back usually probably like within that day, later in the day. But they just take that for now, so then they can start walking you upstairs after you're done, or wherever the facility is, or walk you over to wherever you're going to be housed at, right? Now, once this is done, they're going to give you the shirt or the scrub, depending where you are, that's going to be color coordinated to what group you're in. Because remember, these facilities have a lot of people. You're talking about, these are football field long buildings and facilities. Some of them, not all of them, but some or majority, there's a lot of people there at any given time. might be about 5, 6 studies going on that got about 50 to 100 people in there. Some may be small, but a lot may be big, right? So there's other people in there. Now you're not congested, like you're all in there, like, like this is a rat race and everybody's tied up together and you're all lab rats. And no, it's not like that. Okay, you have separate quarters for different people, so you're comfortable. You have different sections that's cornered off, and they're named different things. And you don't even see other people in their section where you would be in your section with your colors. Okay, so it's all sectioned off. It's all segregated properly. If it's some studies that's only women, some only men, you're going to be separated from that, like segregated and separated. So you're not going to be seeing that section. Okay, if it's co-ed, where it's both of you, men and women, male and female, you'll be together. All right, but you'll be living housed in different areas. So this hallway might be all the women. This hallway may be all the men, separated by a divider. Okay, that makes sense. All right. When you check in, you're going to come to find out that once you get your clothing, then they're going to give you your room, right? Sometimes you can have a room to yourself. Some studies you'll have a room where you share with 2 or 3 people or 4 people. And there's like different separate beds. Sometimes, like at Worldwide, my example, I went this day, right? 14 days. They had bunk beds there. So you got bunk beds, like about 10, 15 in a room. There's bunk beds, top and bottom, right? They usually set that up by, parameters of age, different things of that nature. Like most of the time, they're older, they have the bottom, younger have the top. Or a lot of times, they won't be all full. So you could just go in there and pick whichever bed, right? Usually, a lot of times, though, they have your name on the bed. So it's already set up for you. Like the door of the room will have your initials. And a reminder to make a note of this. Everything is done off your initials. For instance, my name is Maurice Ray Trimble, Jr. So my initials is MRT, right? Like Mr. T, right? So MRT, that's my initials. They'll always take your initials that you wrote on paper that you gave at screening. Whatever it is, that's going to be your initials throughout the whole study, because they're not going to say your whole name. It's going to be a lot of y'all there, okay? So they're going to say initials, all right? And you're going to have a number. They're going to give you wristbands. It's going to have your number on it. That number is going to dictate what position that you're in. Remember, now you're going to see what I meant when I said about the first screening matters, right? If you were in that first screening, you're going to meet up with everybody that's in the study. Like, for instance, my study, it was 50 of us there, and I was number 3, right? That's because, and I'm always in the top 5, if not the first person. I used to be a top 10, but before I just got really started doing this good and got rich and wealthy with it, I've always was in the top 5, no matter what. Usually top 1 to top 3, always, which is good, right? Because that means that you dose probably first, second, third, fourth, fifth, something like that. You dose early, right? That means everything is done by time, and we're going to get to that. But the bottom line is you'll be seeing people in the second screening, in the third screening, the fourth screening, if there is a fourth one. Usually it's like first, second, maybe third. It could be more, but it just depends on how big the study is. But you'll see everybody collectively in the same place, right? So you'll see how you're in the front because of the screening, and your labs came back, right? Came back quicker. You're in the screening first because you called first and you set it up first with the appointment, right? Physical came back, everything's good, but you'll see the other appointments that were, because it's first come, first serve. So all these other people were behind you. Now you'll see what I'm talking about with why you're pretty much in the study, but the people who are back here, right, they may be alternates or backups. They might not get in the study, okay? They're there waiting to see who has an issue, who doesn't get in, what's going on, who has to drop out, who has to leave, whose labs aren't that good. They're pretty much, and I hate to say this, but they're pretty much hoping that someone does not get in so they can get in, right? Because if they don't get in, all you do is you stay overnight, and what usually happens is the next day, this not all the time, but this is most of the time, 90% of the time. The very next day, that's when you're going to do your dosing early in the morning, and the people who are not needed after the last dose was met, all those other people, they go home. A lot of times, though, they'll get compensated something, whether it's $25, $50, $100, whatever have you. They'll get something for their stay overnight, and then they'll get a card, which is like a priority card, or it's a card that allows them to get VIP access to get into the next study, no matter what. So even though they didn't get in, like PBD for instance, they'll give you a VIV card, a very important volunteer, VIV. Those cards are very, very important because those cards, VIV at PPD, those cards are very important because that means that no matter what, the next study they're going to get in, right? Because they didn't get in this study. And that's kind of like them as a reward for them staying overnight, even though they got paid a little something, but they got compensated something, but it's still a reward for them staying overnight, giving their time, sacrificing their time and things of that nature, right? So anyway, so once you're in, usually you get your room, right? At that point, you could just unwind, relax, you can chill out. They have movie rooms there. You can watch movies, big rooms with a lot of chairs in there to do movies. They got rooms with games where they have pool tables. They have, my personal favorite they play. You have chess boards. I usually bring my own. But you have a chess board usually in there. They have cards. You know, people like playing cards. Dominoes. People like playing dominoes. You know, they have all these things. They got video games because that's a big thing now. So they have a setup with TVs in there that you can roll around and you can hook up, whether it's your HDMI or whatever cables you have for your game system. So whether it's the Xbox X or whatever have you, or whether it's the PlayStation 4 Pro or whatever you have, whatever game system console, they have that for that. They have also the cafeteria. A lot of times they're going to feed you. So usually if it's a fasting study, because they're always going to say that they want you to fast before you go there. The reason why is because every time you do a screening, when they check your blood, when they check your urine, they don't really want a lot of things conflicting in there with your levels. So they would like you to fast 3, 4, sometimes 6 hours before you actually give your screening result, when you do your lab, right? And then they'll feed you when you get there. They'll feed you lunch, right? So regardless of study, they'll feed you something because they know you're going to be waiting and you haven't eaten anything for breakfast, right? So then that's pretty much the rest of that day, and then you're going to get orientation later. And the orientation is where they're going to get everybody together. This is usually like before nighttime comes. They get everybody together, and they'll have it's like late afternoon, right before night. They'll have the doctor, they'll have the paramedics, the nurses, they'll have the staff that's there, they'll have the phlebotomist. Usually they'll have all the people that's going to be involved. You're going to meet everybody, right? Now you mainly it's the coordinator, the recruiter, the paramedic, stuff like that. Them are the main ones that you'll meet. And they're going to tell you the rules of the facility. They're going to tell everybody at the same time about the dress code. They're going to tell you about guidelines, about safety. They're going to talk about the study. They're going to talk about payment. That's a big thing. Payment, how you get paid, when it's paid, how it's broken down. Now, they're not going to, mind you, here's a note to remember. They're not going to talk about payment as much in the actual screening. Where you come to the facility and do your screening, right, for the first time, they're not going to cover all the payments like that, usually, because the person that does the payments is not going to be there, all right? So they're going to always have the generic form, so I don't want you to get bent out of shape when you see the paperwork and it says, hey, we got to wait 2-3 weeks to get paid after we get out of here. No, 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 my friends. That never happens. So that's the purpose of you investing in this course. I'm giving you all the details so you can know. You do not have to wait 2, 3, 4 weeks to get paid after you get out of a study or something like that. You don't gotta, that doesn't happen. They have that there, the paperwork, because they haven't changed it. It's been that way for decades, 10, 20 years. It hasn't changed. So they're not gonna make that change usually, even though they could, but they don't worry about that. They keep it the same, and they always tell you that the same way. They're gonna tell you at orientation how you're gonna get paid, because a lot of times you get paid, sometimes you get paid with a card. Sometimes these studies pay with a check, like they give you a check that's made on your name to whether Chase Bank or Wells Fargo or whatever have you, and you can go there and cash it. It depends, or put it in your bank, right? So it depends, right? Sometimes when you have the check and they'll give it to you early, you can take a picture of your check if you're like myself, and you can have mobile banking set up, right? I have business accounts, things of that nature with my LLCs. So the mobile, I take the picture, it goes right into my account, like available within 24 hours, right? So you only have to go in the line and cash the check. So with that being said, that's what's going to happen at orientation. They tell you everything you need to know, and then everybody goes, it lights out. Usually it's like around I think it's around midnight is when they do lights out at a lot of the facilities. Some stay later, but usually 11:30 to 12ish. That's when they want you to get some sleep, because the night before, because you will have dinner. I almost forgot that point. You will have lunch. You definitely have lunch, but definitely you're gonna have dinner and a snack, right? Everything is also done military time. Okay, I know everything's being thrown at y'all left and right here, but like I said, you can go back and rewind, or hopefully you're taking notes. All right, I ate lunch, I ate the dinner, I ate the snack, and then it's bedtime. Then the next day in the morning when you wake up, that's when you're going to actually do dosing day. That's like your day one, right? When you checked in, that's usually like -1, they call it, right? Day one is when you actually dose the medicine, okay? The pill, the solution you drink, or whatever have you, the spray. It depends. There's different things, different studies that do different things, right? So with that being said, that's pretty much it. That's your check-in day. That's how everything goes down. The people who did not dose, like I said again, they get sent home. They'll get usually compensated with a card, like a PPD. They give you a VIV card, so they can get into the next study guaranteed, no matter what, as long as their labs are good, right? And yeah, that's pretty much it. So I know it's a lot that went on, but that first day, like I said, it's more of a relaxation day. You don't really do anything, right? It's the dosing day when you have your labs. Like you might take the drug, and for that first 4 hours to 6 hours, they're gonna really be, you'll all be in one room. Everybody will be a big dosing room, and everybody will be at a table, usually, or chair, or wherever have you, and they have numbers, and that's when they'll be doing your blood work, doing your vitals. Everything will be happening on the minute, whether it's 30 minutes, 45 minutes, an hour, right? The 2 hour mark, the 4 hour mark, everything will be done on time. And you'll have a number and someone will be behind you. So you'll have someone in front of you, you have someone behind you, usually, unless you're the last person. And this person you'll be seeing every single time you do a procedure. They're called procedures. That's what it's called when you do your blood, when you do your vitals, your heart, your EKG for your heart rate, all of these, even your breakfast, lunch, dinner, and your snacks, they're called procedures. Everything is called procedures, okay? Like I said, that's the check-in process. That's what happens on the day one as well. And yeah, I hope that you all got all that. And have a good one. See you in the next lesson.